Due to the will of the pirate world no longer tolerating Oda's foolishness, it was forced to curse loudly. Oda is just a comic artist, he knows how to hammer the Pirate King. It summoned a young boy from Earth overnight and gave him an extra burnt fruit. From then on, the Pirate King had an additional Yen Emperor, and Ace fell into contemplation as he watched the flames of Chen Yu burn thousands of degrees. Chapter 1. Can't we not walk through it? You are listening at novelfull.audio. My name is Chen Yu, a super handsome and ordinary person from the 21st century in China. If it weren't for the fact in front of me, I wouldn't have believed that Tmo would really travel. Kid, wake up, kid, a rough shout echoed into Chen Yu's ears, and after a moment, Chen Yu's body twitched and he frantically covered his right leg. What's so special, are you guys doing yarn? You scared your master to death, don't you know? Another familiar rough sound came into Chen Yu's ears, but this time Chen Yu became impatient and threw a slanted eye towards the sound, his mouth not idle. Yuya, didn't you see that I had a car accident? Before he could finish speaking, Chen Yu, who was covering his feet, suddenly froze in place. Because he realized that the surrounding environment was not the place where he was created and flown by that second cargo driver. Chen Yu. Humph. It seems like something happened to you, kid. A short old man walked out of the white mist ahead, holding a huge pencil that was almost 1.2 meters tall. The old man was half a head shorter than the pencil. At most 1 meter, it can't be any higher. Chen Yu, who had just seen the visitor, had put away his impatience and did not feel any discomfort on his body. He asked, "Old man, may I ask who you are? And where is this? Why am I here?" In fact, Chen Yu was very anxious in his heart. After all, he remembered very clearly that he was walking on the road when a car suddenly drove out next to him and hit his right foot. He remembered that his right foot was completely in contact with the front of the car, which meant that his foot was at least broken into 3 sections, otherwise it would not have formed a circular arc. Subsequently, there were scenes of oneself cursing and falling freely, and a faint sound of a piercing flute and the driver who hit him saying, "Ah, I didn't see." Soon, he lost consciousness and didn't feel any pain. "Your master, I am the world consciousness of the One Piece King, you are very lucky, just like a sea fan I randomly summon from Earth, and next, I will arrange for you to enter the world of the One Piece and start your new life." The short old man smoothed his long, white beard and said calmly. However, why is the voice produced by such a plain tone still so rough? Chen Yu. What's the F***K, are you repeating it again, damn it? What does it mean I'm lucky? I only won over 10 million yuan yesterday when I bought lottery tickets, and I also have several million yuan in my hands. Why did you summon me like this? I have just graduated from college, and I am clean and self-disciplined. I haven't started enjoying life yet. Do you want me to live in a different world? Do you want me to return the world will of the One Piece? I am *U*, right, go back. Send me back immediately, where can there be Huaxia security? Am I an ordinary person who has never killed a single chicken, going to be cannon fodder for the Pirate King? Chen Yu roared wildly in his heart. Although Chen Yu often fantasizes about traveling and embracing each other. But at this point, he really panicked. He didn't know how to make salt, nor did he understand history. If he didn't have the golden finger, who knows how many days he could live. Moreover, in the world of pirates, although he is a sea enthusiast, he has only watched the anime once and has not watched it very carefully, and it is not over yet. Seeing Chen Yu, who was a bit crazy, the old man didn't get angry either. He gave him a meaningful glance and said, "It's not impossible to send you back, but are you sure? I remember someone was hit by 2 cars. The first time was fine, and the second time was directly run over by a cement truck. TSK, that scene is so spectacular. Moreover, I'm not sure if you can still survive after sending you back. After all, the whole thing is shattered and scattered all over the ground." Chen Yu. Twice. Who are you trying to scare? You think I'm... Before he could finish speaking, Chen Yu fell silent. Twice. So the piercing sound of the whistle, as well as the emptiness of my consciousness before I even landed, was due to so, I can't go back. Chen Yu quickly adjusted his state. And it can be said that this old man saved me. There are only two paths before me now. One is to follow this old man's will and enter the world of the so-called One Piece King. The other is... let's not mention it. Ha! Chen Yu swept away his previous slump, took a deep breath, and stood up. Since there is only one path, why bother with a hammer? What can be preliminarily judged now is that this old man brought me here at a cost, which may not be small, otherwise there is no need to force me here. Secondly, it is uncertain whether this old man is the so-called One Piece world consciousness, but what can be certain is that he does have something, that is, I don't know if he is my golden finger. Finally, no matter who this old man is, he is always discussing with me, which means he has a request for me. Looking at Chen Yu, who suddenly seemed like a different person, the old man's face remained expressionless, as if everything was within his expectations. This scene was all seen by Chen Yu, but Chen Yu did not show any abnormality. Before his death, he did not have any outstanding advantages, but his only outstanding feature was his strong adaptability and ability to mediate his own emotions. Although Chen Yu's performance was a bit lackluster at the beginning, if anyone of his age had come over, he might not have performed better. What can I get from going to the world of the Pirate King? Chen Yu straightened his chest and squinted his eyes, looking down at the old man in a stern tone. Kid, you're still a bit tender, let's put this one away. The old man waved his hand, obviously Chen Yu's calculations were empty, and the old man didn't eat this one. What he didn't know was that after the old man summoned him, he already knew what kind of person he was. I won't talk to you anymore. Go to the world of the Pirate King and do whatever you want, as long as you have the ability. Besides, your uncle, I will give you a burnt fruit, which is exactly the same as the original one, that is to say, there are 2 burnt fruits in the world of the Pirate King. Don't ask the rest of you, and don't do useless work. Speaking of burning fruits, the old man seemed to get more and more excited as he spoke, talking to himself alone. Chen Yu didn't hear a few words clearly, but one sentence was clear. Damn it, Oda knows how to burn fruit with a hammer, he's just a comic artist. Upon hearing this, Chen Yu felt lost in thought, and his restless heart also calmed down. Take me over there, please. I saw the old man's pencil emitting white light, waving towards Chen Yu, and Chen Yu disappeared in place. Chapter 2. 2 years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Feeling her mind blank again, Chen Yu quickly shook her head and slapped her cheeks with both hands, trying to quickly wake herself up. The One Piece King has never been a safe world. Chen Yu, who had recovered slightly, called out to the old man a few times. After trying but to no avail, he quickly looked around and saw him in a dense forest, surrounded by 2 wooden beer barrels that were more than enough to hold a person. Chen Yu, who had a preliminary understanding of the surrounding situation, found an unknown giant tree and instinctively climbed up. He sat on the branch and leaned against the trunk, carefully organizing the content in his mind. Original owner. Ducati Sac age. 16 experience. Born into a pirate family in the East China Sea, he received rigorous training from a young age and had physical fitness no less than that of an adult pirate at the age of just 1. Not long ago, his parents and their pirate group were defeated by the East China Sea hegemon, the Crick Group. After reading the information in his mind, Chen Yu was speechless for a moment. It is now 1519, and Crick is aggressively recruiting troops and horses to prepare for entering the Great Sea Route. Luffy will set sail in about 2 years, so why is there going to be a follow ship flow? Then he met the enemy of Crick, and went on to explore the path of becoming king with a group of second-year teenagers. Chen Yu has not yet figured out which camp he wants to join, and as for working alone, he has never thought about it. Being alone in a foreign world is like being stubborn and reckless, just lighting a light in the toilet. Seeking death. In fact, Chen Yu is more inclined to become a navy. Although this is limited by the group of pigs, compared to pirates or revolutionary armies, being a navy can openly become stronger. Moreover, in the early stage, the navy was the strongest, which is undeniable. If you are a pirate, you must join the Straw Hat group, and only this group is worth entrusting. As for being a revolutionary army, Chen Yu is the least willing. It's not that he has prejudice against the revolutionary army, but because those who have been involved in revolution and those who have studied history know that either they succeed or they become benevolent. Although fate flies on the road, isn't the leader of the revolutionary army a dragon? The protagonist is a big dad, but it's tiring. Don't you see Claire guarding an empty house alone? Those who engage in revolution must have consciousness. He, as a little virgin, doesn't want to be strict for a lifetime. Since you're here, your wife must have one, right? Do you need to have strength? At least we can't let anyone bully us anymore. Speaking of strength, Chen Yu suddenly remembered that he had a big opening gift package. He immediately stood up from the tree trunk and touched his body, which was a bit foolish and useless. He has left himself speechless. If it were really on him, could he never feel it? After a moment of senile dementia, he summoned his brain again, jumped down, and ran to the place where he had just seen the barrel of wine. Because there was a small wooden box there just now, it was obviously the same design as the protagonist fruit of Shanks. Fork, a sound of the box opening came out, revealing an orange-red, flame-threaded fruit with a good texture. Chen Yu was heavy and watery, and he swallowed his saliva as he watched. Is it really the smell of feces? In my past life, I was curious about how bad the devil fruit was, but I was also curious about the taste of feces, but I never tried it. Now, Chen Yu is holding roasted fruits in one hand and rubbing his chin with the other, pondering whether to eat them or not. Humph, a clear throat voice came from Chen Yu's throat, burning fruits is actually strong enough to burst. Let's not just talk about elemental transformation, but also about controlling fire. This is the power that many second-year teenagers crave, and flames are the flowers to play with. In my past life, I was really speechless for Ace. Why did I use the term fire fist when burning fruits, which is not very clever at first glance? Flame has no substance, you must use the fire fist to fight hard with the magma fist. It's strange to win. Although Ace died inexplicably, it cannot be ruled out that Oda was trying to stack buffs for Luffy. The power of burning fruits is beyond doubt. In One Piece, I don't think too much about science, can't withstand scrutiny, but I can learn a lot from my past life. As for flames, we won't consider whether there is plasma in this world for the time being, but the laws of combustion should be quite similar. If I eat roasted fruits, I will develop them from two aspects: temperature and flame type. Chen Yu was quickly organizing his thoughts. Burning fruits, in essence, is the ability to control flames and transform into flames. Flames from previous lives, not to mention others, can reach several thousand degrees with acetylene and oxyacetylene flames alone, even up to 4,000 or 5,000 degrees, while Red Dog's magma only has a few degrees. 1,500 degrees. Or 1,200 degrees. The temperature is almost the same. The lower limit of the magma fruit can only be said to be higher than that of the burnt fruit, and the upper limit is not even comparable. Make up your mind, Chen Yu is ready to take out the roasted fruit and stuff it into your mouth. With a flame of 4,000 or 5,000 degrees, the magma has burned to ashes for you. If we could still create Marco's immortal fire. Who still thinks that even dogs don't eat roasted fruits? It's clearly the Pirate King from Oda who knows how to draw comics and knows how to burn fruit with a hammer. It's because the roasted fruit is too strong, that's why I ate it. It's not because I'm curious about the taste of feces. After muttering to myself, I began to savor it carefully. After chewing slowly, Chen Yu fell into contemplation. The taste is good, crispy and refreshing, but according to online reports, the taste of baba should be sticky to the teeth, not like it. Negative review. As for the taste, a special fishy smell surged up to the forehead, bitter and slightly astringent, as if it was a mixture of all the ingredients and flavors that I didn't like in my past life. It's really unpleasant, Chen Yu said with a faint tone, then stuffed the last bite, along with the stem, into his mouth and swallowed it directly. Bang! The flames suddenly burst out from Chen Yu's body, which felt very strange, as if other organs had grown on him, and he could manipulate this new organ at any time. I can't feel anything unusual, as if I'm just a flame. So, Chen Yu held his right hand and a flame wrapped around his fist, burning harder and harder. Suddenly, Chen Yu squinted his eyes slightly, took a step forward with his left foot, arched his knees slightly, and his waist was in harmony. Then, his foot pulled the step forward, supported his waist, and he threw a punch at his arm with his belt around his waist, fire fist. A loud roar echoed in the forest, followed by a large, unsightly pillar of fire plowing through the fields, and the forest disappeared completely in an instant. Ha! Chen Yu's breathing is a bit rapid. At this moment, he knew he had wrongly blamed Ace. The power of Fire Fist can be said to be quite good, with a wide range. The most important thing is, it's handsome. Talking about power is too superficial. How could our cultivators be so superficial? Being handsome is a lifelong thing. Chen Yu's face was flushed with excitement, like a young girl who had just been nourished. The first time using the fruit ability, it feels really amazing. This punch is almost at the level of Ace in the anime. It's just that the battery life needs improvement, and we can't be a 3-second man, can we? We can't just wither ourselves with 2 or 3 punches. Although my physical fitness is already very strong now, it still depends on who I compare with. AIC, with the monster physique of Luffy, Chen Yu can only say that he will catch up. After all, his body still has a lot of room for growth, so he is also a bit naturally gifted. Chen Yu, who has initially experienced the fruit ability, has a preliminary positioning of his current and future strength. At this moment, his face suddenly stiffened, as if speaking to himself, as if to the past. From today on, I am just Chen Yu, and Crick will definitely die. After speaking, Chen Yu let out a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the end of the sea, and he did not regain his composure for a long time. Chen Yu, who had been stuck there like a stone for more than 10 minutes, started to move. In less than an instant, his whole body became elemental, and he flew into the deep forest in a flash. It was evident that he was a new driver on the road, flying very slowly, and Chen Yu had been heading towards this forest for 2 years. Chapter 3. Straw Hat equals Stupid X. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2 years passed in a blink of an eye. I saw that the deep forest had turned into an open and flat area. Although it looked vibrant and overgrown with weeds, it was still easy to tell from some small details that a large scale fire had occurred here. Goo! A loud sound of gastrointestinal peristalsis drifted through this open flat land, reaching deep into the forest and echoing through the woods. Even the intestines and stomach are so swollen and powerful, it can be foreseen how amazing this person's physical fitness is. Pop, pop, a series of footsteps echoed in my ears one after another, and I saw a man dressed in animal skin, nearly 2 meters tall, carrying a giant bear that was 3 meters long on his shoulder. During the walk, his muscles tensed and his whole body was powerful, like a knife cutting and axe carving, which was very eye-catching. A head of messy long hair fluttered in the wind, coupled with his healthy wheat-colored skin, a wild and welcoming aura shook people's hearts. Ah, in the blink of an eye, it's 2 years, a helpless sigh came from Chen Yu's mouth. 2 years have passed really quickly. In the past 2 years, I have focused on improving my physical fitness, and burning fruits has only been a preliminary development. There is no other way, the fruit's ability depends on the user's physical strength. If the physical fitness is not strong enough, it cannot withstand the arbitrary spending of tricks. Chen Yu knew that this kind of thing was urgent, so he went crazy over the past 2 years to exercise his physique, swing wood, squat with weight, stand-up push-ups, and so on. Combining the exercise techniques of Solon and previous military training, he developed a set of training methods suitable for himself. Fortunately, my physical talent is very awesome, and my strength has improved in the past 2 years, but I still haven't encountered any bottleneck. In addition to physical training, it is also the initial development of fruits. In addition to daily training, there is a crazy spray of flames, and the flame temperature has increased from over 200 degrees to nearly 700 degrees now. The battery life is impressive, and even if the Teddy from a previous life came over, it would be admirable. The use of fruits has reached a certain level, and like superhero fruits like Luffy, basic use has become instinctive, consuming only a small fraction of physical energy. The most important issue is the weakness of the fruit. The dry duck. According to the original text, several patterns can be summarized. 1. The feeling of weakness in capable individuals can be alleviated and overcome. 2. The elemental transformation of the natural system is very intelligent. In addition to subjectively choosing active elemental transformation, it can also be passively triggered by harmful attacks. This passive mechanism is enabled by default, but can be subjectively disabled, which means that it is possible to be beaten. In water, abilities will be suppressed, but they can still be used. If readers have any objections, they can refer to the scenes of Luffy at the bottom of Aaron Park, on an empty island, or when taming Kraken at the bottom of the sea, as well as the scenes of Green Pheasant Frozen Sea and Owen Boiling Sea. Their abilities continue to be used cruelly, but they become much weaker. 4. The dark fruit of Blackbeard renders the fruit's ability ineffective, similar to the effect of High Lu Shi. In the past 2 years, Chen Yu has continuously deepened her body's depth in the water and tried to exercise in the water, constantly breaking through herself. And he also became friends with the beasts on the island. After all, they helped improve their physical skills and make up for the lack of combat experience. He could only say that he tried not to eat them unless he couldn't help it. After a moment of emotion, Chen Yu quickly helped one of his friends, the black bear, shave, peel, cramp, and then eat with oily mouth. Chen Yu expressed helplessness about this. Although he doesn't have the habits of black people, who made the white fur on this bear look like a shoulder strap. At this moment, the weather on the island suddenly changed, and a sea tornado suddenly appeared in the distance, carrying a large amount of water vapor towards the island. The climate in the East China Sea is not as magical as the Great Seaway, but no one can say for sure about this. Just seeing the incoming tornado, Chen Yu had a wild guess in his heart. Ah! Suddenly, there came a muffled exclamation, as if listening to someone in a secret room outside, which completely confirmed his outrageous speculation. Chen Yu looked up and saw a beer barrel flying towards him, feeling speechless in his heart. "Gone, old man, if it weren't for your pen, I would definitely have chopped your guy and fed him to the dog." Before he could finish his sentence, Chen Yu drank again and said, "Enthusiastic eel." At the same time, Chen Yu extended his right hand, with his index and middle fingers forming a sword finger, with his fingertips facing upwards and both pointing upwards with a hook. Suddenly, a delicate dragon appeared in an inverted H-shaped circle around both fingers. Accompanied by it was a sudden burst of flames as the beer barrel flew past, and the flames were full of spirituality, spiraling upwards and directly bursting the wooden barrel. And another massive pillar of fire blasted towards the tornado, causing it to veer off its original path. However, Chen Yu didn't go too far either. He waved his hand and swung a fire net, firmly embracing the cracked beer barrel, and then threw it aside. Fire net is an inspiration derived by Chen Yu from the flame passage released by Ace during his previous life when he first broke free from handcuffs during the Top War. A stronger flame is enough to support a person, and flames can both heat up and cool down. For Chen Yu today, precise temperature control within a few hundred degrees is not difficult. Bang! The noise of falling wood came, and a young man with a straw hat hanging behind his head, big eyes, and a scar on his face stood up unsteadily, so dizzy, so uncomfortable. Chen Yu watched him for a moment, also wanting to take a good look at the man he had been chasing for over a decade in his past life. Chen Yu's gaze scanned from top to bottom, finally focusing on Luffy's feet. That's right, it's it, the ultimate fast shoes. It can be seen that Chen Yu is envious from the bottom of his heart. Over the past 2 years, his clothes and shoes have already worn out. Now it's just a genuine leather pants, or more accurately, a genuine leather skirt wrapped around my younger brother. Where is there any obstruction in other parts? That kid wearing a straw hat. This is my territory, give up your valuable possessions and come by your life. Upon hearing the words, Luffy was startled all over, then reached back and grabbed the straw hat, clasping it on his head. With his fingers pressed down, the brim of the hat covered his eyes. Chen Yu recognized that this was the iconic action of Luffy preparing to take action seriously. Are you also a pirate? Since you're ready to take action, then be aware of being beaten away by me. Luffy said solemnly. Chen Yu didn't get angry when he heard these words, but instead felt that it was very difficult to fly. Besides, it seems that this guy hasn't actually taken the initiative to kill anyone, it's just flying. At this moment, Chen Yu gently raised the corner of his mouth and said, Yo 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 yo. Are you prepared to treat your life-saving benefactor like this? Do you know who saved you ashore? Do you know how much I paid to save you from the other side of that distant sea? Immediately, Chen Yu leaned slightly and secretly transformed his right hand into an element. Then, he took out a piece of fur from the side to cover his right shoulder, and quietly touched the bare blood next to him, covering his right shoulder. Chapter 4. Formal Joining. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Pada pada, the sound of wood burning is particularly striking, like a pleasant atmosphere in one's ears. After such a fuss, the sky has become dark. 2 people surrounded the fire pile, staring intently. One person looked worried and pondered, tomorrow I'm probably leaving and starting a new life. How should I integrate into this world? Chen Yu felt that if he joined the Straw Hat Pirates, he would find it difficult to blend in. Until today, he still views the world from a god's perspective, which is not his problem. It is difficult to develop emotions by immersing oneself in a familiar and unfamiliar group, knowing what will happen in the future. And the other one also had a worried expression. Have you cooked it yet? Why haven't you cooked it yet? How about taking the opportunity to sneak a bite? Chen Yu is not as ruthless this time. This is already the 3rd time they have grilled meat sitting around here, and every time Luffy steals food, he treats it as if he hasn't seen it, making Luffy feel like he hasn't been discovered. After seeing that the last pair of bear paws were almost roasted, he picked up the seasoning at hand. This is the barbecue sauce he has made himself in the past 2 years, which is actually a combination of several spicy plants on the island, mixed with seawater salt, ground and combined. Toxic. No, 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 his brothers are all fine after eating. After sprinkling the ingredients, take them off the heat and grill them slightly for a while. After smelling the fragrance of spices, throw this well-colored bear paw to Luffy. At this moment, Luffy was extremely excited. The first 2 times he had eaten the original flavor, and several times he wanted to ask for seasoning, but he hesitated and looked cautious. Watching Luffy like this, Chen Yu felt a bit amused. Luffy is not a meticulous person at all. He belongs to the category of great wisdom but seems foolish, but do you say he is afraid of Chen Yu? Not necessarily, I think I'm sorry. Chen Yu interrupted Luffy's delicious posture to the point where his eyes were glowing. Did you just let me board your ship? Give me a reason. Although the beasts in this world are very fragrant and the sea kings are even more delicious, the most important thing at present is to find a reliable camp and enjoy it later. Upon hearing Chen Yu's question, Luffy suddenly stopped eating meat and fell into contemplation. It has to be said that Luffy is not a person with a single heart, but he never hesitates on major matters. Chen Yu waited quietly for Luffy's answer. I want to become the Pirate King, but I'm not enough alone. I need many strong and reliable companions. Get on my boat. Luffy took off the straw hat above his head and stared straight at the hat in his hand, then looked at Chen Yu seriously with a burning gaze. This answer is really serious. Chen Yu never expected it to be this answer. He originally thought that Luffy would still be the same as before, stubbornly saying, I have made a decision, bara bara. Observing the scene of inviting others, it cannot be said that Luffy is not serious, but he is definitely not as serious as this invitation. Okay. I'll temporarily board your ship, but I have a promise. If you can't satisfy me in the future, or if this ship can't satisfy me, I'll leave without hesitation. Chen Yu stood up and said seriously after a brief thought. He is not sure if he can truly integrate into it, as he was a rather solitary person in his past life. Immediately, his hands grew out. Upon hearing Chen Yu's promise, Luffy jumped with joy and quickly patted Chen Yu with his palm beside him on the runway, saying, What? Ha ha ha. I knew you would definitely agree to me. Ah ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Luffy, who was laughing halfway, saw Chen Yu's hands growing again and immediately showed him a wave of what it meant to be stunned. Showcased a wave of what it means. Die for you. He doesn't care if Chen Yu cheated him, on the contrary, because Chen Yu's hand hasn't passed away, he is actually very happy. Although these scenes were also expected by Chen Yu, seeing that Luffy was truly exchanging sincerity for sincerity, as a young man of the 21st century, he couldn't stop. In his past life, not to mention being treated with sincerity in his pursuit, it would be great if Chen Yu could hope that he wouldn't be deceived at critical moments. Perhaps this choice is really good. Chen Yu's mouth curled slightly, stood up, and explained, I am a fruit-burning ability person. Like you, I also ate the devil's fruit. Ordinary attacks cannot harm me at all. After chatting briefly with Luffy again, Chen Yu said goodbye to him and went to tidy up his things on the island. And the frisbee sat with its legs swaying left and right, so there was no need to listen to what he was talking about, so you could tell that he was really happy. That night, the roar of wild beasts in the forest echoed everywhere, whether it was a distortion of human nature or a decline in morality. The current optimal combat temperature for flames on Chen Yu is close to 800 degrees, but if a lot of physical and mental energy is expended, even more terrifying temperatures can still erupt. He actually doesn't have much to sort out, except for those good brothers who he can't bear to part with, that's all the gold in their lair. Ships often crash here, so his brothers also collected some gold. Although it's not much, its volume is enough for Chen Yu to melt into a handy stick. The remaining scraps are melted into small pieces of gold bars by Chen Yu for expenses. A few days ago, his extreme temperature was unable to melt gold. Now it seems that his strength has risen again, and it has exceeded 1,000 degrees. Chen Yu felt happy in his heart, carrying a stick on his back and a gold bar strung into a chain hanging around his waist. He walked leisurely and said, Dong Xiami, you love me. Today is really a nice day. Then he beckoned Luffy to tow the huge raft he had built in the past 2 years. Although the sail is made of wood chips and vines, Chen Yu doesn't plan to use wind power and accelerate it directly with low-temperature fire fist. Isn't it fragrant? Luffy didn't have any dissatisfaction with his tugboat, he just kept thinking about Chen Yu's golden stick. His eyes were constantly shining all the way, and Chen Yu's eyes couldn't open. He quickly melted off a part of the stick and made it into a golden fist, and his fingers could show that kind of thing. Now he was satisfied with playing with his tricks. On the raft, Chen Yu looked at a brain axe on the ship and fell into contemplation. He remembers that he let Luffy hunt deer are not brothers. Goose ha ha ha, goose ha ha ha. Luffy laughed heartily as he regarded Chen Yu's shock as admiration for his strength. However, Chen Yu didn't care much, after all, this was the last brother. It's also very lonely to leave it here alone, okay? Just bring 3 boxes of self-baked jerky and walk onto the boat. Amidst Luffy's admiration for Venus, a fiery punch struck the sail. A new journey has begun. It is worth mentioning that Luffy also carried the 2 large beer barrels onto the ship and asked, "They are my lifesaver." Chapter 5. When there are more accidents, let nature take its course. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The seagulls in the sky suddenly boiled because a large vortex suddenly appeared in the sea ahead. There is a huge raft floating aimlessly below, completely unaware of it. That's right, it's just Chen Yu and Luffy. Neither of the 2 second-class cargo knows how to navigate. Ha 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 ha, I saw Luffy hanging his body on the edge of the raft, looking at the sea with an expression of helplessness. Chen Yu was furious when he heard this sentence. Why? The meat I brought from the island was eaten the day before, brother Brain Axe. I planned to eat the dried meat slowly. Just that night, Luffy stole most of it, and the next day, while Chen Yu was dozing off, he finished all the remaining dried meat. And Chen Yu was completely kept in the dark. Until he woke up and just wanted to eat some jerky to suppress his shock. He looked into the box and, oh my goodness, there was no hair left. Even the boxes have been added cleanly. Seeing this scene, Chen Yu exploded and almost lost control of his fruit ability, burning half of the raft and even the sails to ashes. Privacy container, equals I am so angry. Before departure, tell Luffy to save some food. This journey will take at least 3 or 4 days. And seeing Luffy nod solemnly with a look of listening, Chen Yu felt relieved and thought he had really listened. I didn't expect it. After burning the ship, he casually extinguished the fire and then hit Luffy with a fire fist, blowing him far away. Although the temperature was not very high, it just burned Luffy's hair. Luffy, who was flying out, naturally didn't need him to manage it. He stretched out his arms and flew back, but when he landed, he crushed 1/3 of the boat. Then, with an explosive head and a big smile on his face, he waved his forearm and said, "Wow. Wow. Chen Yu. Star. It's okay if he doesn't apologize." As soon as he apologizes, Chen Yu's hair explodes again. If he really follows the straw hat, he will have 9 meals in 3 days. I also know that the current strike is ineffective against Luffy, and it is difficult to control the scale by burning it with fire. With a stroke of his brain, Chen Yu stretched Luffy's arm and stuck it in the gap of the raft, then kicked Luffy into the sea. In no time, the following came to my ear. Kill it to dad. Gulu Gulu, beat him to death. Gulu Gulu, Luffy in the water has no resistance at all. With the ups and downs of the waves, and his hands stuck on the boat, he won't sink. He will be swayed up and down, and then be knocked down by the waves, drinking water vigorously. Chen Yu, who was observing Luffy next to him, sighed comfortably and said, "Huh. Shu Tan, there's finally a way to cure this kid. All of this is for this family, huh?" What? After such a commotion, Chen Yu felt like he was getting closer to Luffy. Or rather, let's go hungry together and live a more authentic life. I suddenly feel that even if I know what to order in advance, it doesn't seem to have much impact. I have to eat what I should eat, drink what I should drink, and beat what I should. Feeling scratched, it instantly improved. Drink, take a big sip. Aren't you very hungry? Today I'll make you feel full all at once. What he knew in advance was only the events, while what he lived together was called life. Chen Yu's heart knot was suddenly untied, and his mood became smooth. The invisible pressure had been pressing on him all along, making him unable to breathe. Chen Yu suddenly stood up, clenched his fists and lifted them up. I have decided. In this world, I must be the most willful and carefree person. I'm going to rush all the way. I want to hit 10. His gaze was unprecedentedly firm, and his aura cleverly changed. It's just face time. Shua. Why is there such a big vortex? I'm going to be stubborn today. Don't be reckless. Come back tomorrow. I said it. Chen Yu suddenly widened her eyes and said frantically. Immediately, he lifted Luffy out of the water and punched him in the stomach. A column of water poured out of Luffy's mouth. Yu Guang saw Luffy in a huge vortex and jumped up with a jump. He covered his head with both hands and exclaimed, "That's it. That's it. That's it." When Chen Yu was about to take the boat and fly directly, one long hand tied him up, stuffed him directly into the beer barrel, covered it, and kicked Chen Yu with the barrel into the sea with one foot, flowing like clouds and water, all in one go. Luffy also got into another bucket and rolled back into the sea. I'm going to kill him. I definitely want to kill him. Chen Yu, feeling as though he had been sucked into the vortex, said frantically. Luffy is quite loyal, remember to take Chen Yu with you when you run away. Why kick into the sea? Is there a fee for placing it on the ship? W. Chen Yu, who woke up again, quickly put his hands together and said, "Thank you so much for your blessings." Chen Yu pressed her ear to the edge of the bucket, listening to the movements around her. When he woke up, the box was upright, so he sat upright in the bucket. Thank you to the kind-hearted person for picking me up. May your life become more and more exciting. After murmuring for a while, Chen Yu lifted the lid of the bucket. Just now he had already checked that the surroundings were quiet. Chen Yu walked out of the beer barrel and quietly looked around. It's obvious that it's not a pirate ship. The clean blue and white floor tiles were clean and shiny, and a faint fragrance permeated the air. Based on this, I say this is not a pirate ship. Who has any objections? Looking at Chen Yu's reflection on the floor, he suddenly looked disgusted. With a dark face, messy hair, and no clothes on yet, she was wearing a leather skirt, still shaking and swaying. After a while, Chen Yu dressed up beautifully, dressed in a high-end black suit found from the next door, and his black leather shoes were rubbed to make him feel refreshed. With a flick of messy hair, it's safe to have a masculine demeanor. What a pity, I like dark blue suits, it's annoying. After a few words of chatter, Chen Yu walked up and slowly strolled, observing while eating the free food provided by the nearby room. I followed a few more famous watches, of course only silver, and also stuffed a few high-end cigars into the chest of my suit. Chen Yu couldn't help but sigh, the people here are really nice. They give clothes, food, and even watches. Why do you say delivery? Joking at you, see if anyone is coming to stop me. Oh, there is. This means it's prepared for me, otherwise why isn't there anyone? Someone shamelessly searched everywhere and also salvaged a lot of gold, finally making up for the piece cut off from the stick. My mood is beautiful. The higher you go, the louder the noise becomes. I used to be in the lobby, so I have to thank you in person, otherwise giving me so many things would be embarrassing. As soon as Chen Yu walked into the hall, he saw a big fat woman showing off her strength. Oh, wow, oh hi yo. Chen Yu was about to continue greeting when he heard a small miscellaneous worker holding a knife holder around Chen Yu's neck in front of him. Oh, your grandmother's leg. Miss Alrita, there's a fish that missed the net. As a master of facial expression management, Chen Yu may not be as good as Master Luo, a time management master, but he has also seen the world before. It appeared in movies from a past life. This scene, isn't it time for me to fill the cup? Chen Yu, who was extremely excited inside, did not show any change in her appearance. I'm excited, but I won't tell you, it's just for fun. Chen Yu, who had a great hunger, seemed to have unlocked something very advanced, just like having big ice. Just as Chen Yu was about to open his mouth and fill a cup, another little Karami came over to announce the message. Miss Alrita. It seems that Kirby has found a helper, apparently a bounty hunter, who said he wants to arrest you. I saw the fat woman's forehead bulging with veins, her pupils contracting, and the corners of her eyes turning red with blood. KB. Bounty hunter. Let's go and take a look. Immediately, a large group of people rushed out, leaving only the small miscellaneous hair next to Chen Yu responsible for guarding the crowd. His grandmother is so angry. Although she knows what happened, she is just so angry. Chen Yu cursed wildly in her heart. The master of facial expression management, Chen Yu, suddenly turned his head and faced the small miscellaneous hair that was pressed against his neck with a knife. His eyes narrowed slightly, he smiled, and said with a stern tone. "Kid, it may get a little hot in a while, hold on a bit. This is your first time dying, so you may feel a bit uncomfortable. Once you've experienced it, you'll get used to it." Before the little miscellaneous hair could react, Chen Yu extended his right index and middle fingers, pressed them against his chest, and gestured to the gunman, bang. A musket was fired, piercing directly through the chest of Xiao Zimeo, and the bullet hole was scorched black, with a power greater than that of a firearm bullet. And that little miscellaneous hair persisted until death, without digesting the words that Chen Yu had just said. And Chen Yu released all the people in the hall, and then his expression became serious. Just killing someone has a big impact on him, so he needs to adapt with a straight face, otherwise his expression will collapse. When giving myself psychological enlightenment, I can't help roast. What kind of dog blood, do you think this is a coincidence? You can just start the plot. Chapter 6. Target Sauron. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a while of discomfort, Chen Yu gritted his teeth and persevered. Kill one as a crime, slaughter 10,000 as a hero. Chen Yu kept silently reciting in his heart. Don't blame me, even the dead. Coming here was not my intention, but since it's here, even heaven will fight against it. After a wave of self-hypnosis, Chen Yu was once again excited by himself. Ignoring the still panicked people in the hall, he walked directly onto the deck. As for comforting everyone. Playing. Lousy pirate, do pirates know? And below, I also wish them a more exciting life, look. Isn't today exciting enough? They saved my life equals I wish them a better life equals they encountered pirates equals my blessings have come into effect suddenly. Chen Yu punched his right fist into the palm of his left hand, with a sudden realization. My blessings have already come into effect, so I have cleared my grudges with them, but I saved their lives, which means they each owe me a life. Chen Yu. Sigma. Garlic, garlic, the new youth of the 21st century do good deeds without leaving a name behind. Suddenly thinking of something, Chen Yu turned into a flame and flew towards the miscellaneous furry bird of Alrita. I don't know if the Nami I actually saw can still attract me like in my previous life. Before Chen Yu could finish speaking, he saw a famous scene. Geo sauce, you kicked so mercilessly. Poor. I wonder if this uncle can still attend the flag-raising ceremony in the future. TSK. Chen Yu, who suddenly appeared next to Nami, exclaimed in admiration. The welcome to Chen Yu was naturally a side kick from Nami. He was actually very emotional in his heart. Whether it's the anime I watched in my past life or the real Nami I see today, I can't help but feel sorry for this kind girl. These sets of sneak attack tactics have proficiently shattered Chen Yu's heart when he suddenly appeared next to Nami just now. She was clearly startled, but more reflexively attacked. Chen Yu also knew that at this moment, Nami couldn't continue chatting with Chen Yu. Immediately, Chen Yu compared his hands to a pistol position, with his head slightly tilted back strategically and his hands spread out 180 degrees. Fire gun. Both hands trembled lightly, as if there were actually two guns in their hands. A series of fireballs were thrown out, and within a few breaths, all the pirates attempting to surround them were injured, but their hands did not die. It's not that he suddenly had a Madonna's heart, it's just that Nami was present. He was not sure how Nami would react if he killed these people. Nami hates pirates and he knows it very well. But he knows more about Nami's kindness. Anyway, she had to choose either to board the ship or go to bed, and before choosing, Chen Yu dared not be too presumptuous. Since we have joined the Straw Hat, there must be no fewer people inside. Can we talk about it now, Geo Sauce? After speaking, Chen Yu blew his fingers in a very foul breath. Hey! Don't say it, there's really smoke blowing out, it's really cool. Suit thugs. It's just that there are no sunglasses. Now Nami has also become honest, or rather she is very scared. What do you and I have to talk about? Nami, who pretended to be calm, looked at Chen Yu. Actress Chen Yu is online. Chen Yu's mouth curved upwards, resembling a dragon king's face. In this sea area, the famous little thief cat, is that you? Don't be nervous, I'm not interested in you. I'm looking for my companion, a second-rate guy wearing a straw hat, but since I have met you, please allow me to ask you a question. After speaking, he pointed to the cloth bag next to Nami and said, why do you, a little girl, want so much gold? Have you already accumulated enough wealth? Not enough to spend. At first, Nami didn't show any expression until she heard the words behind Chen Yu, her whole being like a wild cat with feathers exploding. I won't give you a penny of my money. After speaking, Nami put on a combat posture. Seeing such a beautiful woman, where else does Chen Yu have the idea to continue chatting? Turn around and leave. When I left, I was very carefree and left a sentence. My parents and family were all killed by pirates, and now I am the only one left. It's not that I don't want to continue chatting, but that I can't. Continuing to chat will only make Nami more resistant. With just one word, it turned into a blazing flame and rushed back to the deck of the merchant ship. At this moment, Luffy is stretching his arms to fill a cup. He saw the arrival of Chen Yu and waved in surprise, saying, hello. Chen Yu, here and here. Unfortunately, human joy cannot be shared, but it can be transferred. Upon seeing this scene, Chen Yu's eyes were fierce as he pressed down on Luffy's head and collided with the main pole of the nearby ship. Although Luffy doesn't hurt, he feels wronged. Although Chen Yu doesn't hurt either, he is very happy and super happy. Bastard Chen Yu. Why did you hit me? Luffy, who was jumping up, was furious, looking like he was going to fight Chen Yu alone. Bang! Chen Yu punched Luffy's face deeply with another straight punch. With a cold tone, he said, I can fly. And you stuffed me into a beer barrel and kicked me into the sea. Do you want to die? I don't understand. Even if you stay in the beer barrel and put it on the ship, will it make you unable to be the pirate king or what? You just need to clean up, damn it. Chen Yu became increasingly angry as he spoke. Luffy became more and more panicked as he listened, and a cold sweat broke out. Then Luffy knelt down on the ground again, blinking his eyes and apologizing all the time, saying, smash. Every time Luffy looks like this, Chen Yu won't beat him up again. But this time it's different. Seeing this scene, Chen Yu became even angrier and went up to beat him up again. You're a damn captain. Pong pong, piang piang, Chen Yu, who had beaten Luffy up again, suddenly stood up and looked at Erita. Before Chen Yu could speak, Erita's pig-like laughter came. Angaha. Angaha. Little brother, you're quite impressive. Follow me and I'll ensure you enjoy the delicious food and spicy food. Chen Yu was momentarily stunned, then looked bewildered, and finally became furious. Damn it, you can't see the situation clearly, can't you? You don't think you can beat me, do you? Stinky little devil, don't be shameless. In a fit of anger, Alrita jumped over with her wolf-tooth club and smashed it on Chen Yu's head. Chen Yu is too lazy to hide. After hitting Chen Yu's head with an iron rod, he quickly passed through. And Erita suddenly fell to the ground due to inertia and rolled out. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, it crashed through the wall. Upon seeing this scene, Chen Yu's veins bulged on his head, and his tightly clenched right hand creaked. Chapter 7. This kid is quite good at pretending. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A group of 3 strolled through the town, shouting and laughing along the way, including Luffy and Kebble, who were eating and taking food. Chen Yu, on the other hand, paid while inquiring with the boss about the news. Of course, the information he inquired about was not from Sauron, but from his own doorstep. Chen Yu is looking for news about shipyards or second-hand shippers. The group was different from the original, and Chen Yu couldn't accept the 3 big men squeezing together on a small boat and rubbing their backs against each other. And I am the co-captain. Just do the unreliable things yourself, Luffy. You should cherish your feathers. He has already begun to fantasize about leading a group of straw hats to venture into the world in the future, and his name will be called Emperor Yen. Emperor Yen. Chen Yu. Fire Fist or something is too low. I don't even look at those strong ones, they are not world disruptors, descendants of demons, or those domineering and insidious titles like the Underworld King. Even Shanks, whose red hair intimidates the New World, who mentioned that Shanks with red hair is not trembling. So, Chen Yu started planning his own title. He pondered whether to have a handsome pose before amplifying his moves in the future, and then shouted. Emperor Yen. Turtle Sec Qigong Wave. It's not impossible either. As long as you are not embarrassed, the effect is definitely impressive. And before the fight in this world, those with heads and faces love to shout moves. Let's take a look at the pirate poet. Sauron, whose moves are not only powerful, but also whose name sounds so beautiful. We walked and stopped all the way, and soon arrived at the perimeter of the naval branch's fence. 3 heads poked inward, oh ho, Sauron's built that INBGM is ringing. The black headscarf and the abdominal strap, its Roranoia Solon, the trembling sound of Pompertby rang out. Chen Yu has a strong sense of immersion in listening, TSK, this appearance of Sauron is really enough to fill a cup. Although Sauron was later made to look like a sand sculpture by Luffy. But now it's very cup-filling. At this moment, Luffy and Kirby argued, one going to release Sauron, while the other disagreed. Oh ho, the famous scene has come again. Zheng, another urgent BGM sounded. Hey. You guys. It's very eye-catching. Get out of here. After speaking, Sauron's gaze swept across to Chen Yu and his group. Chen Yu didn't feel much, while Lu Fei had an excited expression on his face, while KB was trembling with fear, with a runny nose and tears streaming down his face. Oh. Chen Yu slapped his forehead, he was a bit caught by Sauron. Why is my appearance just ordinary? Chen Yu pinned his hands on his chest, puzzled. Immediately after, a lovely little girl named Liang climbed up the ladder. Afterwards, Chen Yu didn't want to pay any attention. Tell Luffy directly that he's going for a walk. Luffy, this second-rate cargo, never licks his bag. When Menkai is killed, he will feel embarrassed to grab the things of those sailors, Chen Yu pondered as he walked. After all, Kirby stayed here, so he knows a few people. When it comes to letting Luffy snatch it, he will specify that he is not willing. And I also need to take care of my image, okay? Otherwise, how will I pretend in the future? I still searched ahead. After speaking, Chen Yu turned into a flame and flew into the building, searching and looting from place to place. Encounter a soldier and feel dizzy. I have searched for a lot of gold coins, but I haven't picked up any paper coins or other coins, so it's inconvenient to carry them with me. I don't know if Nami is here at the moment, right? After the last farewell, Chen Yu misses Nami very much, and it seems that Nami is less than 20 years old. That's just a little older than him, he's only 18. However, there are significant limitations, fortunately Nami can continue to develop. And in a corner that Chen Yu didn't know, a beautiful girl wearing navy clothing secretly looked at Chen Yu and then walked in another direction. Her goal is just a great nautical chart. Since the chart is gone, she didn't linger too much. However, Chen Yu did not awaken his senses, so he naturally missed out perfectly on the little Nami he had been longing for. Among so many members, Nami's mind is the most difficult to handle. It seems that when we go to the Dragon Park in a few days, we need to dress up without leaving any trace, and we must not let Luffy hook up Nami's heart. Chen Yu murmured softly. Although that second-rate guy doesn't understand emotions and love, how many beautiful women in One Piece have him in their hearts? Isn't this a waste of resources, occupying a pit and not defecating? Luffy's near-invincible sincerity is indeed the most terrifying. After searching for the entire naval branch, including the warehouse, Chen Yu was also quite satisfied. He didn't take a single needle or thread, only gold and coins, and even a few high-quality knives. When passing by the room of the foolish son of the Axe Emperor, he didn't take Sauron's knife. He needed Luffy to sincerely invite Sauron to board the ship. Only a portion of the gold coins he obtained were left, and the rest were melted into gold pieces and worn around his waist. His golden stick was waving in his hand, not hanging on his back. Jokes, suits. The suit on my back is wrinkled. By the way, I'm so handsome, why hasn't Luffy reacted at all? How does he remember me besides relying on his fruit recognition ability? Chen Yu, who loves contemplation very much, immediately fell back into contemplation after walking for a while. I walked into the restaurant where the little girl was, waited for Luffy and continued to ponder. His golden stick is very enviable, but these townspeople don't have that much courage. I casually flicked 2 gold coins for the boss's wife and said, "Boss's wife, there may be some commotion here later. Don't mind. The rest will be used as food expenses. There are 4 of us in total, and you can order good food and wine." The landlady didn't say much upon hearing the words and just followed suit. Those who come out to do business are not fools. Those like Chen Yu who carry a golden stick with them and are not afraid of being robbed, don't have to look to know they can't afford it. Chen Yu's black suit still has a deterrent effect. However, by the way, if it weren't for some inner difficulties, being a chow thief wouldn't be impossible. Why is this boss lady a bit good looking? Chen Yu, who was constantly scanning the boss's wife with Yu Guang, felt very conflicted in his heart. Eating the food brought by the landlady, drinking the small wine brought by the landlady, and watching her graceful figure. I don't know if the boss's bed is soft or not. See. Chen Yu took another breath of coolness. This time, he was scared by his own ideas. Nami is ahead, the revolution is not yet successful, and I still need to work hard. Hurry to pour a calming mantra into your heart. The TikTok version, which is just that, alas alas. Anyway, it's the meditation mantra of TikTok. After a while, Luffy and Kirby came over. Seeing that Chen Yu had already ordered the food, Luffy made a rocket and flew over, startling the people around him. Chapter 8. I Got Sauron. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After Chen Yu and the others had a full meal, they walked towards the courtyard where Sauron was located. "Is that you again? You're such a leisurely guy," sighed Sauron when he saw Luffy again. Chen Yu witnessed this scene nearby. But the most suitable choice for Sauron is to join us. He has no choice. And, we're going to mention a pirate poet soon, okay? Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. Does the name of one's own move sound unpleasant? What are you afraid of, Sauron? Even if I'm sorry to ask. Then take the ready-made one. Sauron doesn't care. Immediately after, the Axe Emperor also appeared. Looking at Munka's figure, Chen Yu still feels a bit envious. Munka's muscle mass is really large, while Chen Yu's figure is actually similar to that of Sauron, but both of them are stronger than Luffy, except that Chen Yu is taller. Watching the fight between Luffy and Munka, as well as Sauron's abusive behavior, Chen Yu suddenly lost interest. For him, or rather for the 3 of them, it was just a small scene, just a sprinkling of water. In the early stages, Luffy's strength was relatively weak, and his moves were diverse, but without his domineering support, he would still be almost useless. In the early stages, apart from sacrificing half of his life at Eagle's Eye, Sauron's words can be said to have crossed over directly in other places. And as for saying that Sauron lost blood at Dragon Park. If Sauron hadn't gone to Eagle Eye to play like that, I think one Sauron could have pushed the dragon realm horizontally. In his past life, the Pirate King had many flaws, such as a long's nose being directly broken by Luffy, while Sauron was basically unable to cut any damage. Then he rounded it over with his injured body. I guess Oda wanted to add some drama to Luffy, so he forcefully cut off Sauron. But this world is different, it is a real world, and the information you know in advance can only be used as a reference. So, the place he wants to intervene, besides planning to add some cups in the Dragon Realm, is to start from Eagle Eye. The group of them, who didn't have domineering aura, couldn't do Eagle Eye together, but Chen Yu wanted to try and get domineering from Eagle Eye. As long as the three main players of Straw Hat learn to be domineering, there is no need to worry about the development in the future. There's no need to worry about the use of cherry blossoms. They don't know how to learn advanced applications, but they don't even know about things like flowing cherry blossoms and king-colored entanglement. So, as long as you get a domineering entry-level method, the road will be much smoother. If there is no other way around Eagle Eye, then we can only find it on the Kapu ship in the 7 cities of water. There must be that thing on the Kapu ship. Not right. You can try your luck at Bucky's place at this point. Planning expert Chen Yu has gone offline. Chen Yu, who had come to his senses, saw another famous scene. Suolong, supporting an orphan. But there's one thing I need to clarify, only with my own ambition, I will definitely carry it out to the end. If you make it impossible for me to achieve this ambition, then you will cut off your abdomen and apologize to me. Seeing Chen Yu here, his heart is unbalanced. Why is Mao so skilled? Does this literary talent really come at the cost of a lifetime of being a road fool? And the stronger the strength, the more foolish the road becomes. Patting his own head, Chen Yu turned into a flame and dissipated in place. The next second will gather next to Luffy. It's time for him to appear. Now Sauron is already a third party. Should strength be revealed or should it be revealed? Otherwise, we won't be able to attract people in the future. I said, don't you think it's been a bit long? Can't we just deal with that waste first and then chat? Chen Yu pointed to Menka, who was still forcing orders, and said in silence. Why don't you want to take action and tell me in advance? My hands are itching while I'm waiting. Chen Yu began to show off her muscles. A flame erupted from around Chen Yu, and the terrifying temperature ignited the clothes of nearby sailors. The air around Chen Yu also began to distort and deform. The heat wave emitted allowed Luffy to resist with both hands, while Sauron quickly dealt with the small soldier behind him, then took a few steps back and stared at Chen Yu with a burning gaze. Sauron reveres and respects the strong. For non-swordsmen like Chen Yu, he will show enough respect, but he will not have any fighting spirit. His love for war can only be shown to swordsmen. Damn Chen Yu. This is my battle, I won't let you take action. Seeing Chen Yu planning to take action, Lu Fei jumped hastily. After spending so much time with Lu Fei, Chen Yu naturally knows that Lu Fei also has a strong obsession. The last time he saw the scene where Chen Yu bombed and killed Erida, it had a significant impact on him. Chen Yu can also feel that Luffy really wants to become stronger. Seeing Chen Yu achieve his goal, he wisely put away the flames, took a half step back, and signaled for the two of them to continue. This time not only showed off a wave of muscles, but also ignited their fighting spirit once again. Chen Yu is already very satisfied with the trip on the Axe Emperor Island. There was no suspense. After Chen Yu withdrew from the battle, the Axe Emperor didn't even have a chance to speak. He was knocked unconscious by the joint efforts of the two, and even Balumabo, who had fainted in his own room, had no time to go downstairs and hold Kabi hostage. After finishing the task, Chen Yu returned to the owner's shop with a few people. Luffy and Sauron began to feast and drink, and KB also ate a lot, so Chen Yu naturally didn't fall behind. Anyway, it's just how much your boss's wife will serve and how much we will eat. The first thing that didn't work was KB, and after eating for about half an hour, Sauron was also full, leaving only Chen Yu and Luffy to eat. At this moment, Chen Yu came to life and turned his head to Sauron, saying, "I heard that appetite is related to strength. Can't you, little dog?" Can Sauron bear to hear this? Although he didn't understand what a small dog was, the sarcastic tone made him explode directly. Combined with Luffy's mockery, he kept repeating Chen Yu's words with a strong sense of mockery. Immediately, Sauron excitedly pulled out his knife. If it weren't for Kirby pulling tightly from behind, the three of them would have designated two to lie down today. After calming down, Sauron joined the battle again, and the three of them finished eating all the food in the shop before it ended. Luffy had a big belly, and Sauron's belly was not small, as if his face had turned blue. But Chen Yu has not changed at all. In the cultivation on the deserted island, Chen Yu focuses on physical skills and stamina. Within 2 years, his body naturally learned to return life. Life return is really practical. After mastering it, physical recovery is extremely fast, and the level of control over one's own body will definitely reach a higher level. This also made him very confident in his physique, but he never had the opportunity to fight with all his might. The purpose of Chen Yu making them eat so much is self-evident. Immediately, Chen Yu explained the principle and benefits of returning life to the two of them. Luffy doesn't matter, as long as he eats, he doesn't think too much. Sauron nodded thoughtfully, clearly remembering it in his heart. Without anyone noticing, the relationship between the three quietly deepened. As for men, sometimes just a cigarette, a meal, or a glass of wine is enough to recognize each other. Ahahaha. Sauron laughed as he held his stomach and looked in the direction indicated by Luffy. Is this your ship? Are there only 3 crew members, you and me? Ha ha. Sauron laughed again, mocking and laughing happily. They didn't know exactly what Sauron was thinking, mocking, but Sauron now fully recognized them. So are they also persisting in their dreams that are ridiculed by the world? Laugh so hard. Chen Yu interrupted Sauron's enchanting laughter, pointing to the medium-sized sailboat next to him, and continued, I bought it on the island and currently use this boat. Although it is second-hand, we will definitely build a dream boat that belongs only to ourselves in the future if there is a chance. Chen Yu was drawing a big cake, but he knew that Luffy and Sauron enjoyed it very much. Dreams. He hasn't found it yet, he just wants to improve his strength so that he can achieve true freedom. Poor Sauron just turned Chen Yu's brain into a dream chaser, he doesn't know anyone. Little did they know that he was still just a salted fish now. After solving some tedious matters, the three of them officially bid farewell to Kirby at the port, and the adventure belonging only to the Straw Hat Group has just begun. Chapter 9. The Fantasy Journey of Luffy and Sauron. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you a fool? What a fucking his mother. Looking in the direction of the sound, I saw a sailboat drifting on the sea, with a green algae head on the deck staring blankly at the sky. Just now Luffy said he wanted to eat the bird in the sky, and then a rocket rushed over. Upon seeing this scene, Sauron didn't have much reaction until he saw Luffy deliver people's heads and fly into their mouths, which shocked him greatly. Where has Sauron ever seen such a naughty operation? Immediately woke up Chen Yu, who was still on lunch break. Chen Yu, who was awakened, thought it was Luffy who was causing him to sleep and planned to beat him up. Before he could even take action, he heard Sauron anxiously say, that idiot Luffy was eaten by a bird. Go and save him. Upon hearing this, Chen Yu didn't feel tired or angry anymore. He immediately called for Sauron to collect the sail, while he quickly flew towards the big bird. Just waiting for Sauron to wake up Chen Yu, the big bird had already run a long way. Seeing Chen Yu unable to quickly catch the big bird, he quickly flew back, and by this time, Sauron had already put away the sail. I just don't understand why Chen Yu asked him to retract his sails, and I also don't understand why Chen Yu didn't continue chasing. But Sauron did not ask, and Chen Yu did not actively explain. Originally, Chen Yu wanted to bring Luffy back at full speed, but the thought of Sauron leaving his sight for a while scared him. He is afraid that in just such a short while, Sauron will wave into a new world on his own. Chen Yu, who had flown to the stern, had his lower body elementalized and his hands fixed on the stern. With a single effort, the entire ship flew straight up. Sauron, who didn't know why, slammed his head directly onto the wall, causing a visible swelling in his head. With a fierce expression on his face, he said, "One day I will kill you, Chen Yu." Before Sauron could stand up, Chen Yu accelerated again. Poor Sauron, due to inertia, directly pressed against the wall and felt a wave of pushing back. Due to the fact that Chen Yu exerts force diagonally upwards, sailboats fly steadily on the water surface. Just suddenly the whole ship shook, as if it had hit something. This does not affect Chen Yu. With Chen Yu reaching maximum power, the speed of the ship's flight is no longer much slower than that of the sunny when the wind blows up. If Chen Yu flies alone, the speed can reach an astonishing level. This is the result of his continuous physical training and unique development in burning fruits over the past 2 years. Perhaps not as fast as Thunder Fruit, but it definitely has self-protection ability, of course, referring to speed here. If he really wants to escape, perhaps only the yellow ape, a street skater, can stop him. And just as the sailboat passed by, 2 pools of blood suddenly emerged. Poor Bucky's henchmen were first trapped by Nami, and then directly killed by the ship. No one has noticed yet. How dare you believe it? Chen Yu, on the other hand, became even more determined as if he had been beaten with chicken blood. "Bucky! I'm here." After flying for a while, it surpassed the big bird, but Chen Yu did not choose to stop because he saw a small island. "I found it." Chen Yu gradually slowed down after speaking. In an instant, Chen Yu flew back to the bow of the ship and made a reverse thrust, instantly stopping the ship. As for Sauron, who had not yet adapted to the speed he had just reached, he felt the ship suddenly stop and had a very ominous feeling. Then Sauron flew out again, knocking down several trees and hitting a big rock before stopping. Still alive. Just as soon as Sauron spoke, there was an extremely friendly greeting, which was extremely high in maternal content and full of fiber. "No need to ask, I just learned from Chen Yu. But why is this child getting more and more comfortable using it?" Chen Yu, who was still in the sky, looked at the big bird in the sky, with a faint smile on his lips and a more sharp gaze. Fire Fist. A large and exaggerated pillar of fire roared towards Luffy and the strange bird. Of course, the main target is birds, don't misunderstand. Chen Yu's fire fist was more like a sea of fire, instantly engulfing Luffy and the strange bird. But Chen Yu was afraid that the strange bird wouldn't die, so he immediately drank again and said, "Enthusiastic eel." I saw Chen Yu's right hand turn into a sword finger, and a lifelike dragon hovering around Chen Yu's 2 fingers. At the same time, a flame eel also appeared in the air, flying everywhere with the dance of Chen Yu's sword finger. Chen Yu, who felt the timing was approaching, waved his sword fingers and controlled the huge eel in the sky to charge towards the giant bird. Bang! The big eel exploded with a loud roar, and a terrifying explosion swept across the sky above the island. The dark clouds that originally gathered over the small island were instantly evaporated. Chen Yu has already left a lot of hands, and his eel has not been adjusted to the highest temperature, only 2 or 3 baidu. And the amount of condensed flames is not much, so for Chen Yu, it's just a fireworks display. This huge explosion naturally alarmed the pirates on the island, but with Bucky's domineering luck, the pirates were not afraid of Bucky's honey at all. Only Bucky himself felt guilty. At this moment, the big bird that fell to the ground suddenly stood up and rushed towards Chen Yu at full speed. Oh! It wasn't the bird standing up, but Luffy carrying the giant bird ran over. As soon as he came over, Luffy reached out his right palm and threw it at Chen Yu's head. He exclaimed, "You bastard Chen Yu! Are you trying to burn me to death? Who is Chen Yu? Can he fight?" Directly elemental, making it impossible for Luffy to touch. Luffy, this stubborn cow, was no longer convinced and used various tactics, but could not hit Chen Yu. Upon seeing this scene, Suolong, who had just woken up, immediately pulled out 3 knives and went crazy, chopping at Chen Yu. Unfortunately, the two of them were still too young, and they fought until they gasped for breath without causing any harm to Chen Yu. Armed and domineering, right? Suddenly, Luffy and Sauron spoke in unison. Then they looked at each other and exchanged glances. They ignored Chen Yu and walked to the side of the giant bird, eating the cooked bird cooked by Chen Yu. Seeing this, Chen Yu laughed heartily. Then I also went to eat the big bird meat, not to mention the delicious taste. The griller's control over the heat is really amazing. However, in order to have a peaceful meal, I also did enough facial expression management and did not mock the two anymore. After finishing the meat, the 3 of them regained their usual peace. Little did they know, soon after, the 2 of them joined forces with a yellow-haired curly hair and took advantage of Chen Yu's nap to beat him up hard. As soon as the 3 of them walked to the entrance of the small town, they saw a beautiful girl with orange hair being chased by 3 pirates. Upon seeing this scene, Chen Yu was momentarily stunned and then inexplicably angry. Suddenly lifting his right hand, he fired a series of muskets, directly turning the 3 pirates chasing Nami into a hornet's nest. After solving 3 Karamis Chen Yu, naturally we need to go and brush up on the presents again. An anxious and worried expression appeared on her face in an instant, and a flash appeared in front of Nami, saying, "Are you okay?" Chen Yu didn't get too close, he controlled the scale, and Nami could just feel that he was worried about her, but not too much. Luffy and Sauron were staring blankly, their heads tilted to the side, and their faces were covered in question marks. After Chen Yu came to this world, he was very fortunate to have signed up for the school's performance department during his university years, and he also honed his facial expression management and acting skills quite well. Even old fogies like Nami didn't notice anything unusual. Now Nami's heart is filled with doubts, as well as doubts about caring for and protecting Chen Yu. Another thing is a slight self-blame. Did you just want to use 3 people as a shield? However, this self-blame can currently be slightly reduced and ignored. Nami avoided Chen Yu's gaze, then took a step back, turned around, and ran away. I need this chart, the villagers are still waiting for me to rescue them, it's almost. Nami shouted softly as she ran. Chen Yu didn't chase after her, and Nami didn't turn back, like a stranger. To deal with Nami, we need to let her board the ship first. And if you want Nami to board the ship, you must use Luffy's sincerity as a lever to pry open Nami's psychological defense line. Watching Nami's figure disappear, Chen Yu pondered to herself. Only Luffy's sincerity can make Nami become a pirate. Harmful. Chen Yu exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and then relaxed his eyebrows again. Turning his head, he looked at the crooked head duo who were still full of question marks, but did not explain. Then he spoke lightly and said, "That little girl just now was a navigator, a very skilled navigator." After speaking, he glanced at Luffy and said goodbye to Luffy Sauron temporarily. He is going to visit Bucky's lair first. And Bucky and his team, along with Nami, will leave it to the 2 of them. Hearing that Nami was a navigator, Luffy's eyes lit up and he ignored Sauron. With a shout, he chased in the direction where Nami was leaving. Sauron doesn't care, he doesn't need a navigator, he always firmly believes in himself. After thinking for a while, Sauron also walked up and went to find a drink. At this moment, all Baki was waiting in front of the tent, waiting for his little brother to catch Nami. After waiting for a while, I didn't see my younger brother's figure, so I sent another group of younger brothers out. It's just that there aren't 3 this time, there are 10 of them. Chen Yu turned into a ball of fire and slipped into the tent from the side. I searched for a long time but didn't see anything valuable. Only useless Baki shells were found. Chen Yu, who was preparing to leave, suddenly saw a very hidden gap under the main seat. Chen Yu threw a ball of fire past, and what caught his eye was a small safe. Chapter 10. Gave you a chance, you didn't hit it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Yu, who thought he had not gained anything, suddenly felt happy. He didn't rush to open it either, but pulled out the safe and left. At this point, Nami was not so lucky. After escaping from Chen Yu and his group, they soon ran into Bucky's henchmen again, and the number of people increased. Looking at the pirates surrounding her, even on the roof, Nami suddenly showed a look of despair. She can handle 1 or 2, but 10 pirates. Chen Yu, carrying a safe, flew into the nearby forest. Bang! The safe in hand fell heavily to the ground. He looked around and observed the situation nearby. Make sure there are no abnormalities near Chen Yu, and immediately prepare to open this safe. As a result, just as the palm was extended, the corner of the eye caught a moving green algae head swaying not far away. Chen Yu. A few drops of cold sweat welled up on my forehead as I paused in my hand movements. He gave thunder a lot at this moment. Isn't this guy looking for a drink? Suolong. Helplessly, Chen Yu still called out. Sand, tower. Suolong cleared a few bushes and walked to the side of Chen Yu. He first made a gesture and said, "Oh. Chen Yu, are you also looking for wine?" Upon hearing these words, Chen Yu did not respond and looked at Suolong with a smile on his face. Yeah. What do you mean by this? Chen Yu ignored Suolong's anger and raised his eyebrows slightly, saying, Ah. The Jianhao really thinks there will be wine here. Upon hearing this, Sauron's originally faint bronze skin tone instantly burned into a blush, and he still sizzled with smoke. Aren't you lost, De Jianhao? Chen Yu continued with a low slush. Light. The sound of several swords unsheathed echoed in the forest, and Sauron couldn't play anymore. Holding 2 knives, he approached Chen Yu with an angry expression on his face. As soon as the teasing was almost over, Chen Yu didn't continue to stimulate Suolong. He just smiled and said to Suolong, Suolong. There's a swordsman in town, do you want to? I have already left Bucky for Luffy, and you will be the one who plays the sword. Upon hearing these words, Sauron couldn't wait any longer and quickly put away his knife, with a wild and unrestrained smile on his face and a surge of war in his eyes. He can't bring up any fighting spirit for Chen Yu, of course, let's talk about it when he learns how to arm himself. Thank you. With a thank you, Sauron ran in the opposite direction of the town. Chen Yu. Sigma. Oh. Then. Finally. Privacy tax. Without saying a word, he stepped forward and punched Sauron bang a few times, bang. 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 After seeing a big bump on Sauron's head, he patted the dust on his hands with satisfaction. At this moment, Chen Yu. Beating Sauron is different from beating Luffy. After beating Sauron, he will really come to you for a fight. Without waiting for Sauron to get up and say anything, he immediately pulled on Sauron's collar, heading in a specific direction, using all his strength to suck at the breast, and threw it forcefully. Damn it! Chen Yu. You wait for me. When Chen Yu heard it below, he reached out his index finger and scratched the tip of his nose, then it was assumed that I hadn't heard it. After Luffy arrived on the other side, she saw Nami surrounded by pirates and shouted loudly, "No one wants to bully our navigator." If Chen Yu saw this scene, he would definitely give a thumbs up. Very strong and stubborn speech. Chen Yu used his hand as a knife again, and his palm suddenly turned into a fast-moving knife, gently cutting the edge of the safe. After several twists and turns, I finally opened the safe without damaging the contents inside. Looking at the book pulled out of the safe, Chen Yu frowned slightly. There are several beautiful words written in the book. Bucky's diary. For this book to be a diary, Chen Yu was not surprised, but for Bucky's delicate handwriting, it made Chen Yu take a breath of cold air. Bucky doesn't look like he can write at all. I roughly flipped through the content, and it recorded the little things that Bucky did on the Roger Pirate's ship before. But it's all about daily life. It is mentioned that crew members often exercise their dominance on the deck, but they are more inclined to follow the exercise methods after awakening their dominance. It did not mention how to awaken. There is a mention of seeing, hearing, and seeing, but the method is similar to what Raleigh taught in the anime. In addition to being able to cover your eyes and then have someone use a stick to draw, there is also the hanging wood method. If Chen Yu had seen and heard of the color, he could have been practicing it for a long time. However, for the past 2 years, he has been constantly improving his physique. For him, currently, physique and armed color are more important. So I haven't squeezed out time to hone my knowledge and skills. And now the time has come. Moreover, due to the lack of physical training equipment, Chen Yu and Sauron have been struggling during this period. It's not that they don't want to exercise, but rather that if they don't rely on equipment to exercise, it will take more than half a day just to exhaust their energy, and the time Chen Yu needs is even more exaggerated. Therefore, during his time at sea, what Chen Yu did the most was to take a sea bath with Luffy. He has adapted quite a bit and can exert 80% of his strength in water. After all, he has been soaking for 2 years. Luffy's words are now just about being able to stay weak and barely move while soaking in water, and when he first started training, Luffy wasn't very happy, so he looked like a scumbag. Unable to do anything, Chen Yu had to jump into the sea with a shocked expression on Luffy's face and swim a few laps of freestyle and breaststroke. Seeing this road, Fei's eyes lit up, and then his brain twitched and he jumped into the sea. Poklang, gulu gulu. A few minutes later, he was caught by Chen Yu and gave Luffy a hard beating. After that day, Luffy consciously started training in seawater bathing without the need for Chen Yu's supervision. From then on, Chen Yu gradually understood the way he interacted with Luffy and Sauron. It's about being able to become stronger, and Sauron is willing to try. If Luffy is interested or willing, he will take action. Otherwise, he will beat him every day. What he doesn't want is still not willing. Since the training plan has been put on the agenda, we need to hurry up and solve Bucky's problem. At this moment, Chen Yu turned into a raging fire and flew towards the location of Ba Ji with a loud roar. Chen Yu quietly appeared on the street where Sauron and Baki were originally facing each other. Chen Yu. Asterisk. What about Sauron? He panicked and observed left and right. He is really panicked. He is really afraid to see in the newspaper tomorrow that Sauron has arrived at the Shampoo Islands and is still giving directions to the Tianlong people. When he couldn't see Sauron from left to right, he wondered if he might be in another direction. So I turned my head and saw 3 sword scabbards exposed in the ruins, as well as the constantly twitching green long legs. Ha! After taking a breath, Chen Yu quickly walked toward Sauron. No matter what he did, he pulled up his collar and whispered, "Sauron, I'll leave that swordsman to you. I'll take care of the others. Luffy's reckless behavior needs to be treated, we can't get used to it. Isn't this just adding to the workload? Always easily caught." This time, he was really hit in the head by a cannon. It seems that Nami still tricked Luffy into coming to Bucky. Hey, Chen Yu sighed and then put down Sauron, turning his head to look at Luffy. He muttered to himself, "I've given you a chance, it's been so long and it hasn't been resolved, Bucky. Damn it." Chen Yu suddenly saw that Nami, who was using her hand to extinguish the shell fuse, was about to be chopped down by 3 Kurami. Originally, Sauron would have saved Nami, but because of him, Sauron is still convulsing. Almost. Almost. After speaking, it turned into a ball of fire and rushed towards Nami. Turning around, he blocked Kurami's attack with a golden stick. Chen Yu. Luffy in the cage exclaimed in surprise. After being reminded, Nami also turned and looked over, only to see a tall figure blocking all the attacks for her. Seeing the visitor, Nami's pupils suddenly shrank and her heart became extremely complicated. So he's also a pirate. He's not. I should have thought of it. Isn't the companion he found back then, the guy wearing a straw hat, exactly Luffy? Chen Yu is unaware of what Nami is thinking. At this moment, Chen Yu, do you think he has a deep affection for Nami? Do you really like it? Not necessarily. Chen Yu himself was also aware that he was more of just starting from his appearance, and at most, he developed some emotions based on it, that's all. As for the past life, to be honest, it's pure YY Nami, plus sympathy for the little girl's plight. When I truly met a living Nami, I felt different again. Where can sincerity be so easily generated? Even if Chen Yu is willing, he still needs a lot of time. Luffy, I've given you a chance. It's you who didn't hit, don't blame me, he said with a stern tone as he pulled these 3 Kurami balls away.